We are live.
Oh, I had a tissue already there too.
All right. Not the final hour. Final hour will be out of the fire pit. The last hour
final guest.
Generally having guests when we've
Right.
had guests in the past. Bart and I work for the Wichita Police Department.
Right.
We've said that a couple of times in live streams. Back in January, a co-worker of ours, Detective Matt Young, FBI certified bomb technician with the police department. January 26th was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
Right. It was like a sudden surprise.
Stage 4.
Right.
And once he got in there and they got to testing, found hundreds of pockets of cancer. He was given 2 to 3 months to live. We held a fundraiser. We did some live streaming, raised some money to help Matt out. And we've had a lot of people asking recently, how's Matt doing? And so we thought it would be best if we just let Matt come talk to you himself.
Boom. Come on. Come on, brother.
Thanks, guys.
An outstanding example of the whiskey community coming together.
Yeah, it was crazy. I didn't even know you guys were doing it until it was already in motion and going, and I started watching the recorded version of it later, and it was just incredible. So, for you guys to do that for me and my family was pretty awesome. So things were really bleak for us at that time, you know.
Oh, sure.
But
I'm getting choked up already.
I know I'm going
to. And cousin Shane sitting over here, and Shakes Pennington, both with the police department here as well. We all work together. We did a Christmas party 2017, and at that party, I took one of my bottles of George T. Stagg, and I had some bottles set up, and I was like, now, if you want to mix, that's those bottles over there. These bottles over here aren't for mixing. If you want these, I'll pour you a little bit. You're not necessarily a whiskey drinker.
No.
And I poured you a little bit of the 2017 George Stagg.
Yep.
And you were just, you were blown away by it. You're just like, holy shit, that's good.
Yeah.
I didn't know this is what whiskey is.
I didn't know that's what it was supposed to taste like.
Right.
Yeah.
So with you coming over and stuff, I brought this. Now I did, there was only a little bit of that one left, which I poured here. I brought last year's edition with me, which everybody else is sharing.
We know you're not drinking much. If you want, we put a tiny little sip here. We know you can't drink much.
Right.
You're still in some different treatment things.
Right. Still doing some things I'm still very early in this fight, you know. So we're entering into month 5 of a 6-month prognosis. So I feel pretty good about where I'm at.
Right.
We did 6 rounds of chemotherapy. Started that while I was in the hospital, which was a blessing. I had no idea. I read stories of other patients around the world that they wait months sometimes to start treatment, not by choice, but just insurance and medical industry and things like that. So for me to be able to get started right away was pretty awesome. So, but the chemo is really hard on you. You know, it's tough on your body. My hair started falling out, so I shaved it off. It would grow back in now because I haven't had chemo since May 1st. But that was a kind of a choice we made. Started doing some other different protocols, vitamins and supplementation and things like that, along with the chemo. And kind of taking a chemo break, I guess, if you will. I'm not anti-chemo or anti-medical industry. I'll go back to it. We have a next CT coming on July 18th, and that CT will be the most telling of how I'm doing. Right. So my last CT said everything was looking great, but that was right after we finished 6 cycles of chemo. So I don't really know what is having the most dramatic impact. I know there's a ton of people praying for me. I know that the chemo had to have some impact, right? And I believe that some of the other stuff, non-traditional things that we've been doing, that I've been kind of led to through just kind of some weird channels, you know. I uploaded a story on my Facebook page today, just kind of a update on what I've been through with my family and my wife and this disease, and it was it's easier for you guys to read it than it is for me to tell it completely, you know, because as I'm sitting there telling it, I'll miss parts and I'll need these Kleenexes a lot probably. So,
but you've even been back to work. You're a detective.
Yeah, back to work processing cases, which is pretty incredible. You know, this disease, a lot of it depends upon where it metastasizes to, right? So sometimes it starts in the pancreas, and for some people it metastasizes to areas of their body that require surgery after surgery after surgery, you know, whether it's their bladder or their colon or whatever. I didn't realize it, and it's hard to say that I was lucky for it to be in my liver and my spine, which doesn't sound very lucky. No. But I haven't been in the hospital since my second trip, you know. So the first trip I went in, I got diagnosed. And then about a week later, I was back in the hospital again with just this incredible pain right here in my chest. I didn't know what was going on. Went back in and they did an upper CT, which before, when they found the cancer, they did a lower CT. So they didn't do anything up here, right? So when I had this pain, I didn't know what was going on. When they did the upper chest, luckily nothing in my lungs, but my ribs and my sternum and my thoracic spine are also full of metastatic tumors or metastatic tumors. So, but like I said, so it doesn't seem very lucky, but it really is, considering I haven't had to have surgery and I haven't been back in the hospital. And like you said, I'm back to work, which is pretty awesome.
I didn't even know that. Scott told me. So, because he was like, hey, you know, maybe we can have him on the show. And I was more concerned about like your health, because I've been around some folks with going through chemo and your immune system's down. But that's when I even kind of informed me, hey, he's actually off of the 6 cycles of the chemo and you'd return to work. I was like,
I said he's healthy as a horse, man.
Yeah,
he looks 10 times better.
Yeah, bomb squad.
I'm back back on the bomb squad. Luckily, not getting called out in the middle of the night for that stuff right now. But we got a bunch of new guys on the squad, and so you know, being one of the senior technicians, even though I'm not able to put a suit on right now, I can still share some information and help those guys out and keep them safe. So
beautiful.
Real quick, for anybody that tuned in late, joining us is Matt Young. Diagnosed in January, late January, with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Yep,
we did a big fundraiser. The whiskey crowd just turned out. It was so generous and
given 2 to 3 months to live, and here we are 5 months later, and he's healthy as a horse. He's been fighting this thing tooth and nail. We did our fundraiser, and then the FOP and those, we had one later. And that you looked, I mean, wore out.
Oh, at the concert, yeah.
I mean, you looked.
Yeah, and I was on pretty heavy narcotics then, right? And so that was one of my goals, was to get off of the pain narcotics as quickly as possible, so that I could drive, so that I could get back to work. Because you only have so much sick leave and vacation to use, right? And then you run out, and then what, right? So then you're dependent on other people within the department to donate hours and stuff for you. And I didn't want to lean on other people like that, so I wanted to get off the pain meds if I could, and that's what I did. But yeah, at the concert, I was rough.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, I was between chemo at the time, so I was already getting chemo, so I was already beat up from that, and so it was a rough time. It was a rough time. I spent a lot of time in my chair and in my bed in my house. So
cowbell for the whiskey dictionary.
I was going to skip the cowbell.
Oh, all right. Ding, ding, ding. Sorry. All right. We're skipping cowbell for this episode. You usually ring that when see the green thing that came in.
Well, see, I tuned in and I heard the ringing of the cowbell. I just didn't know what the relation was.
Saturday Night Live, more cowbell.
More cowbell. Gotta have more cowbell.
You gotta have it.
Yeah. So one of the craziest things, you know, treatment wise, that we've started doing is so a friend of mine he's my best friend all through grade school, and then we kind of, I don't know, we just kind of weren't really, we were still friends, but we weren't like tight through high school. We just kind of grew apart, I guess, a little bit. And honestly, after graduation, I don't remember the last time we talked after high school graduation. Well, a mutual friend of ours had given my friend Grady a call and said that I was pretty bad off, and that he should reach out to me. So, he did, and we talked a little bit. And I was still in the hospital when Grady called me the first time, and I think it was probably the second time he called me, and he called me to warn me because he was going to send me a text to a link that I might think was kind of crazy, and he sent me a link to this story from a guy by the name of Joe Tippins. And I'm not even going to try to tell Joe's story the way he writes his blog, but and the link is on my Cancer Crusaders page. But in a nutshell, Joe Tippins had small cell lung carcinoma, which is horribly aggressive. He went through a lot of conventional treatments through MD Anderson, and ultimately those treatments failed. And he had cancer everywhere throughout his body. It metastasized everywhere from that small cell lung carcinoma. And he was given a horrible prognosis and basically told to go home and get things in order, much like I was. He read about this crazy notion of treating yourself with a drug called fenbenzidol, which is an active ingredient in a K9 dewormer, believe it or not, right? So that, along with some other specific supplements, he created this kind of regimen. And within about 3 to 4 months, he went back to MD Anderson and had no evidence of disease. He had essentially cured himself with this product or this cluster of products. So that's certainly part of what I do. There's a lot of books out there, and when you're first diagnosed, you're wading through all that information, and it's just so much, and everybody's story is a little bit different. And cancer is almost like a fingerprint, right? Because every human body is different, and every way it metastasizes is different. And there's so many different types of tumors and cancers. It's just there's no cure all for it, right? And everybody says, "Why can't we cure cancer?" Well, it's because it's so diverse. It's just you have to have a multi-pronged approach to it, and that's kind of what we're doing. So another book that we rely pretty heavily on is written by a woman by the name of Jane McClellan, who has also basically cured herself of cancer by using off-label drugs. She's a very smart woman. The books is very technical and kind of hard to follow. So my wife and I are kind of muddling through it as we go and picking out what we can. But essentially, it's using supplements and off-label drugs to target the pathways to starve the cancer. That's the title of her book, is How to Starve Cancer. And of course, you can't literally starve cancer, or you'll starve every cell in your body. But you have to find a way to block the pathway of the nutrients and so forth to the cell. And so that's kind of the premise of her book. Treatment's going pretty well so far. My numbers have drifted back up a little bit on labs since I quit chemo. My liver enzymes were over my CA19-9, which is the cancer marker for my cancer, was over 19,000 when I got diagnosed. Normal is below 37. And so I had gotten that number through the different treatments we were doing. I'd gotten that number back down to 428. So we were on the right path, right? Every time I would go to the doctor, my CTs would look better and my numbers were better. And then we stopped chemo. Like I said, May 1st was the last time I had chemo. And since that time, labs, I think 3 weeks ago, numbers were back up to 864. We're still below 1,000. This is a lifetime journey, right? There's, people use, I've heard people even ask me, are you in remission? Well, there's really no such term for my cancer. Because my cancer is non-surgical, nothing can be removed. The metastatic tumors in the spine can't be removed. I can't get a liver transplant and replace my liver because even if they did, they can't get the cancer out of my spine. So who's going to give me a liver, right? And who would go through all that, right? That's a liver transplant. That's a huge deal. And the surgery to remove the tumor from the pancreas itself is called a Whipple surgery, and it's like a 12-hour surgery, and there's so many complications that come from it, and I'm not a candidate for it just based on the way my other metastasis is, right? So this cancer right now has about a 9% survival rate. So I consider myself in that 9%. That 9% is based on everybody who has pancreatic cancer, though. So people, I believe that's stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, doesn't matter. But obviously stage 4, when they found it so late, that's what brings that number down to 9%. So bad. So, but right now we're winning, right? So, I don't know what the future holds, but neither do you.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. But I can tell you, if you want to find out people care about you, just get a terminal diagnosis. You know, I don't know why you guys did what you did. I don't know why Jason Gill did what he did and Shane Preble did what he did. I don't know. You know, I don't know why all these people came out for me, but they did, and I'm gonna stick around enough to try to make it right with everybody as best I can. You know, one way or another. Sorry.
No, you're right.
But like I said, you know, we're winning right now. You know, I don't know what it's going to be in 6 months. You know, I believe I'm going to be okay. I believe I'm going to be here. You know, I turned 49 in September. I plan to be here for my birthday. You know, I plan to be here for Christmas. My youngest daughter's 6. You know, I don't want to miss that stuff, right? I got a lot. I got kids to still raise, teenagers at home. I can't go anywhere. I don't know what God's plan is. You know, I don't know why I'm going through this, but I know He's with me going through it. You know, I firmly believe that. So,
really, I mean, every day at this point is an extra day. I mean,
it is. Every day is a bonus.
Yeah,
every day is a win. It just is. You know, I get up every morning and I thank God that I'm awake. You know, and every night when I go to bed, Lori and I lay there in bed and we thank God for the day. You know, and pray that He would continue to work in my body and continue to heal this cancer and continue to guide my treatment. And I just believe He's with us all the time. There's so many little things that have happened along the way. There's a company in Sterling, Kansas called I can't remember the name of the company, but they put out a product called Afia Plus, and it's one of the supplements that I take. And it has several different stuff in it, but that company actually reached out to us. They heard about us and heard about me, and the pharmacist Preston, you know, he got a hold of my wife through Messenger, and next thing I know, they're on the phone, and he sent us 3 bottles of the stuff, and to get started on it right away, you know, and it's pretty crazy. And then you know, that was in March.
I love this little fella.
Thank you, Shane.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that was me tapping out, by the way.
That's it. We're going to kick to a song saying Shane in a bit, but so they even sent you.
So they sent me this product, you know, and I've been on that as well. And again, there's so many different things. I'm kind of, everything I'm taking is overlapping, and I don't want to stop doing anything because I don't know for sure what's working. Is it the combination of everything I'm doing? You know, is it the prayer? Is it the medicine? Was it the chemo? I don't know, right? But all I know is I'm still here. So we're gonna keep doing what we're doing. But the thing that's kind of cool with that Afia Plus, I'm sitting at my favorite health food store here in Wichita. They have a lunch counter, and everything they have is organic and gluten free and all that stuff. So it's really good for my diet. My diet's really strict right now, along with all the supplements I take.
Sure.
So I'm sitting there with a couple of buddies, a couple fellow detectives. We're on lunch hour, and I'm sitting there, and I see this guy sit down at the table with the manager of the store, and he sits down, and I can see the back of the pill bottle, and that's the Afia Plus that I've been taking. And I'm like, I walk over and I literally interrupt their business meeting before it starts, and that's Preston, the guy that called my wife. You know, so I got to meet Preston, and I don't eat lunch there that often, right? At that health food store. I just happened to take a couple buddies out to lunch that day. And so to bump into him while I'm sitting there at lunch is just crazy, you know. To have my friend Grady call me and reach out to me with this Joe Tippin stuff, again, just crazy. All these things coming together that I believe have me still being here. So,
yeah.
Well, Amy pointed out that God watches over those who help others. Matt is an example of all, and I'd agree. You want to know why people step up and do stuff. You did that before you were ever diagnosed with anything.
Well,
I mean, you were
yeah,
anybody that ever needed anything, you'd help.
yeah. I mean, that's true.
That's a good point.
I guess. But,
Yeah.
So.
You guys ready over
I
there?
know we got a song
All right,
coming.
we'll try it.
Yeah.
Unmute.
We're gonna mute over here.
When Matt got sick, he asked me to sing a song for him. He gave me like 2 or 3 to choose from, but one of them was pretty close to me, so we're going to try it right now. Mama told me when I was young, come sit beside me, my only son. Listen closely to what I say. If you do this, it'll help you some sunny day. Take your time, don't live too fast. Troubles will come and they will pass. Go find a woman and you'll find love. But don't forget, son, that there is someone up above. And be a simple kind of man. Be something you love and understand. Baby, be a simple kind of man. Oh, won't you do this for me, son, if you can? Forget your lust for rich man's gold. All that you need, it's in your soul. And you can do this, oh baby, if you try. All that I want for you, my son, is to be satisfied. And be a simple kind of man. Be something you love and understand. Baby, be a simple kind of man. Oh, won't you do this for me, son, if you can? Love you, Maddie. Oh, don't you worry, you'll find yourself. Follow your heart and nothing else. You can do this, oh baby, if you try. All that I want for you, my son, is to be satisfied and be a simple kind of man. Be something you love and understand. Baby, be a simple man. Won't you do this for me, son, if you can? Baby, be a simple kind of man. Won't you do this this for me, son, if you can. Woo!
Oh, come on. There we go. Make sure we have sound over here. I had to reach over to Bruno's realm.
Yeah. I know everybody on here calls him Cousin Shane, but thank you, Brother Shane.
All right. We got Scott ran upstairs for something. I knew he was getting near the end, but I don't know what he ran up for. Because we got enough tissues.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to stay with us as we go out to the fire pit?
Yeah, I'm going to come hang out with you guys for a little
Excellent.
bit. Absolutely.
Good deal.
Absolutely.
Good deal. Let's see what he's got here. What were you grabbing?
My boy brought me a cigar.
Oh, okay. There we go. That's why he ran up. I was like, why were you bailing? Make sure we got sound.
You guys unmuted?
Yep. I went over, I reached over, did an unmute.
Good.
I think we're good.
I think one thing too, Matt, after the concert fundraiser and a local business bought you guys a trip, the family, to the mountains.
Well, so to tell you the truth, I don't remember. I can't tell you for sure exactly where all that resource came from. Right. We got contacted through, I guess it was Kim Wilhelm, right? With KBCH had reached out to one of her fellow news anchors from out in the Colorado Springs area and connected with us. I had never seen the mountains, so we wanted to try to get a trip out there again. You know, it was so early in the diagnosis.
Who goes 40-some years without
seeing
the mountains?
Yeah, well, I flew over them. So we wanted to go out and do that, and they reached out to us and had arranged for several of the tourist stuff out there for us to be able to go to and had tickets for us and all that. And they actually offered to put us up for room and board, and we're going to fly us out there, but I needed to drive. I couldn't do the whole airplane thing while I was on chemo, and there's no way I was going to manage that. So that and you know. We roll pretty deep when we roll, right? So, 7 kids takes a lot with, especially when there's some adults in there now that aren't kids anymore, and they've got kids and husbands. Yeah, so we rolled pretty deep out to Colorado. We took the big van.
Did you go to the Springs?
We did went to Colorado Springs. Unfortunately, I was pretty miserable at that time. And I spent a lot of time. I had a great view of Colorado Springs in this mountain cabin that we rented, But it's a good thing it was a good view because I spent a lot of time in my chair looking out the window. But it was a really nice trip. I met up with the Colorado Springs Bomb Squad while we were out there. Took Lori and I out to dinner. Met up with those guys and got to hang out with them a little bit and talk shop. So that was a good time. And then it's weird to think how sick I was then. Kind of another little, I guess, bucket list thing for the family is I wanted to take my kids to the beach. And so we go from Lori driving all the way to Colorado Springs and back because there was no way I could drive at that time to just recently drove 1,500 miles round trip and I drove the whole family. We went down to Texas, ended up down at Mustang Beach for a few hours, spent a whole day at SeaWorld, things that, when I was in Colorado, we saw the Garden of the Gods and that was a slow walk for me. We're walking through the Garden of Gods and that was beautiful, but I'd love to go back. Honestly, now that I'm healthier, and it'd be great to go back. And Lori and I think, we'll probably get that done sometime. Maybe this year or next, hopefully. So it's on the list.
I like hearing the way you talk.
Yeah. So I plan to be there.
I like the way you talk.
That's right. When you say this year or next, that's good sounding.
Lori and I just celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary on July 2nd, which is pretty cool.
Woo!
Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome.
Excellent. Good. Well, I think we can even
Saying crazy real quick. He asked Matt, "How often do you have to diffuse Bart at work, and what makes Scott tick?"
as a bomb.
Very clever.
Now,
Very
this was
clever.
interesting. Scott and I worked in the same area as sergeants for a while that you worked in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what's coming right now.
No, I don't know which story, but I'm just saying you've been around both of us for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Are there any? I don't know. Do you know? I can't think. We forget half the stories.
Probably my most embarrassing moment where you both showed up when I asked for a supervisor was after I backed into a boat on dry land.
You
remember that one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was true.
Yeah. Had to call a supervisor because I backed into a boat.
Was that your second one too?
That was my second accident. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in a parking lot at a Quick Trip.
That was. Ironically, it was a cop from Denver who had
That's
just
right.
bought a boat that I backed into.
That's right. It was like a cop-related event.
You know, the funny thing is, he could care less. There was no damage to his boat. But unfortunately, the squad car, not so much. So that counted as a second accident on my record there.
I had actually forgotten it until now.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, yeah, Matt, thanks for coming on, and
Thanks for having me.
thanks to everybody that contributed,
Yes.
took part, and helped Matt out.
Yeah. Thank you very, very much. It's
that was
incredible.
it was this beautiful, inspirational moment all the way around, and you know, and then being able to be at the concert and everything, and cousin Shane was singing, so it was awesome.
I mean, when you came in the office there, 2 weeks ago, you was back to work. And,
Mhm.
I mean, you come in looking like you do now. I mean, 10 times, 100 times better than you did at the fundraiser.
Right.
And it's like, holy crap, healthy as a horse.
Yeah.
And
it's funny. I never thought I'd be 176, 177 pounds, but that's what I carry now, and I seem to carry it okay. I was always
Is this a hint at me? Are you hinting at me?
No, I'm
I
not.
need to lose a little.
I didn't mean to look. I didn't mean to look at you.
He ain't got no side boob going there.
No
You
side
did
boob.
comment on the shirt you saw me wearing earlier.
I just said I was glad to see you still wearing one.
Right, you said you thought maybe I'd be without pants by the time you got here.
I was afraid to be sitting behind this bar with him. I wasn't sure how that was going to pan out.
But seriously, if I could, cousin Shane would kiss everybody on the mouth that gave money towards Maddie.
There you go.
I would.
That's right.
So just close your eyes and picture it.
we didn't give any money.
Yeah. No
No,
kisses needed here.
No.
Find Eric Wade.
Yeah.
Eric Waite gave all
Where's
the
the
money.
sniper?
I already said it.
You gotta find him.
Well, I think let's just, I think we can wrap this one up. We'll
Yeah.
get ready for the fire pit.
We'll get
And
the
maybe
fire
we'll even
started.
get started early out there
Yeah.
instead of waiting because we are going to shut this one down a little bit early.
Yeah.
Matt, I'm damn glad you're still here.
Yeah.
Me too.
That's a good thing.
Me too.
Yeah, there's you go back to January 26th and with your prognosis and what was given, it was bleak.
Yeah, it was, and it's interesting. My oncologist wouldn't really give me much of a prognosis, other than I asked him, and he says, "What'd you read on the internet?"
Mm.
And I told him what I read, and he goes, "Yeah, that's about right."
Jeez.
So the same oncologist, when I said, "You guys will appreciate this," the same oncologist, he says, "You should start chemo." He said, "If you were my brother, I'd tell you to start chemo." I said, "What would you do?" And he goes, "If I had your diagnosis right now, I'd buy a sailboat and a case of scotch."
Mm. Jeez.
But he's still treating me, and he hasn't steered me wrong yet.
And you said, I know these guys with a lot of wisdom.
Yeah,
I'm going to need a
Yeah,
sailboat.
no
I'm gonna
sailboat.
need a sailboat. So,
Maybe
but
that
no,
cop from Denver will sell me his.
That's right. Yeah. You already made connection.
I've never been one to give up on things, and I have no intentions of giving up now. So we'll fight this thing as long as I can and be here as long as I can.
Perfect. Perfect. All right.
Love you, Maddie.
Scotch it. You Scotch gods.
Cilantro. Dummies.
Love you, dummies.
That's brother shade.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you out by the fire pit.
Mm-hmm. We'll